Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into an incredibly exciting approach to modern education. We are going to unpack the Think, Pair, Share methodology for 21st century learning, developed by Dr. Tiso Fall. It's truly fascinating to uncover how such a simple shift in teaching dynamics can absolutely revolutionize student engagement and overall learning outcomes. Let's get right into it.
So, how can educators encourage shy students to participate and actually reduce the intense peer pressure that paralyzes so many learners? Anyone who has ever stood in front of a classroom knows the struggle, right? Posing a great question only to be met with complete silence, or just seeing the exact same two eager hands shooting up every single time. Well, the framework we're exploring today provides a direct, highly effective solution to this exact problem.
Here is our agenda for today. First, understanding TPS. Second, 21st century skills. Third, implementation steps. Fourth, creating a safe learning environment. And finally, a brief conclusion.
Section 1. Understanding TPS, the foundational concept of cooperative active learning.
Think, Pair, Share isn't just some brand new fad. It was originally introduced by Frank Lyman way back in 1982, and honestly, its core mechanism remains brilliantly relevant today. Essentially, it's an active cooperative learning technique. It's designed around independent thought, peer discussion, and class sharing to actively build student confidence. It does this by breaking the entire learning process down into much more manageable, way less intimidating steps.
The journey really begins with the solitary thinker, that light bulb moment happening completely internally. From there, the progression moves to the pair, where two individuals can safely exchange their ideas. And finally, it culminates in the larger group setting, where the refined idea is shared publicly. It's literally building confidence from the inside out.
Section 2. 21st century skills. Connecting TPS to modern educational demands. Dr. Soffel's framework highlights how TPS naturally develops the vital 4 C's of modern education. Critical thinking is sparked right away when students analyze a prompt independently. Then, collaboration is forged when they work as partners to refine those ideas. Communication is actively practiced, both in explaining a concept to a peer and, crucially, listening to the response. And finally, creativity blooms when two distinct viewpoints merge to generate an entirely new, shared solution. It hits all 4 pillars simultaneously. But the framework expands even further beyond those core 4 pillars. Notice digital literacy on the list. Educators can completely modernize this technique by having students use collaborative tools like Google Docs during the sharing phase. Even more profoundly, by requiring students to actively listen to and acknowledge a partner's differing viewpoint, the classroom transforms into a training ground for empathy and conflict management. So it's about a whole lot more than just academics. It's really about human connection.
Section 3. Implementation steps, a practical guide for the classroom.
Dr. Soffel's original framework maps out the complete pedagogical flow. Think, pair, share. It perfectly captures the ecosystem of a classroom in motion, flowing seamlessly from the teacher's initial prompt, straight into focused individual thought, then lively paired discussions, and finishing up with structured group reporting.
Breaking down those steps reveals some really critical nuances. Step 1, the think phase, requires 1 to 5 minutes of absolute wait time. This is absolutely vital. Silence allows students to process without feeling rushed. Step 2, the pair phase, lets 2 to 3 students synthesize and improve upon their individual thoughts. Step 3 is the share phase to the broader room. And Step 4 is where the magic really solidifies, the conclusion. Here, the teacher steps back in to synthesize all the findings and provide feedback, gently filling in knowledge gaps without ever publicly shaming or explicitly calling out wrong answers. Furthermore, implementing this doesn't require some massive budget or complex technology. Simple index cards for recording initial thoughts, or maybe a compelling visual prompt, are entirely sufficient. The strategy is incredibly adaptable too. Think of it as a mental roadmap capable of taking anywhere from a quick 5-minute exercise to a deep 30-minute exploration. It adapts beautifully to math, science, social studies, really the whole shebang.
Section 4. Safe Learning Environment. Destigmatizing mistakes in the classroom.
It is okay to make a mistake. In so many traditional educational settings, mistakes are punished by poor grades or even public embarrassment. But this framework insists that acknowledging a mistake is actually the very first step to true learning. When a classroom culture truly embraces this motto, students finally feel safe enough to take real intellectual risks.
The contrast here is incredibly stark. The outdated focus of education was entirely obsessed with getting the right answer, which, let's be honest, often rewarded only the fastest, most confident students. The modern focus, championed by this methodology, is entirely about nurturing the process of thinking. It prioritizes how a student arrives at a conclusion way more than the final conclusion itself. It values the journey of logic, revision, and collaboration over mere memorization.
And because of this, Think, Pair, Share drastically reduces peer pressure, particularly for slower learners. A lack of participation is rarely just laziness. It's so often a defense mechanism against an intimidating environment. By testing an idea safely with just one partner, misconceptions are corrected privately. By the time they share with the whole class, they aren't sharing alone. They're sharing a vetted, collaborative idea. The fear of public failure just evaporates.
Section 5. Conclusion. Empowering independent learners.
Dr. T. Sofal's framework ends with this truly beautiful analogy. The Think, Pair, Share strategy is not just a simple teaching tool, but it is a tool that gives wings to students' thoughts. It suggests that the independent think phase is where those wings first sprout. Then, the pair phase acts as a safe test flight alongside a trusted peer. And finally, the share phase is where the student is completely empowered to soar openly in the sky of public discourse.
The framework is clear, the psychological benefits are undeniable, and the methodology is absolutely proven. So the only question remaining is, how will educators use these tools to give wings to their students' thoughts in the very next lesson? Thank you so much for joining this explainer on the transformative power of Think, Pair, Share.